It's easy to take for granted the courage and skill of professional rescuers until that moment when you see them holding someone's life in their hands. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of men and women who reach out to those in desperate need on Rescue 911. We begin in New York City as an early morning call for help set in motion one of the most daring rescue attempts in that city's history. Most of the footage in this story was taped as events unfolded on May 14th, 1991.
Emergency. Yeah, how you doing? I've got a fire at 720.
Yeah, what borough are you in?
What? One more time?
What borough?
Manhattan.
Hold on to the fire department.
Jesus, God.
Fire department, 164.
Yeah, fire department, 723 7th Avenue, 12th floor. It's getting really smoky in here, mate. I got to get out of here.
We're coming, 164.
On the 10th floor of a Manhattan high-rise, Ron Perlstein was in the offices of his video production company.
I was sitting at my desk. I just finished editing a piece, and I saw smoke coming out the building across the street. I didn't think much of it at first.
Fire 283, where's the fire?
48th and 7th. Big fire, big fire. A lot of smoke. Top floor.
By the time I got back to the window, I saw somebody inside the building looking, trying to get out.
Okay, there are people inside. There are people inside waving from the smoke-filled windows.
Okay.
Oh.
When I looked through the viewfinder, the guy was almost outside the ledge on the top floor. I felt helpless. I'm 50 feet away and I can't do anything.
A Rescue 1 unit specially trained for difficult emergencies headed to the scene. On the way, the unit's commander, Lieutenant Patrick Brown, was notified that people were trapped inside the building.
The rescue company responds to any serious fire or any report of an auto accident where people are trapped or a building collapse. It's kind of like a football team, kind of like roving linebacker, you know, you just wander around, do what has to be done.
When we arrived at the scene, we could look up and see the two victims, one on 7th Avenue and one on the 48th Street side. The one victim on the 7th Avenue side was in a very bad position.
The fire was only a room away from it.
I see him. Ray? Yeah. We got him. Let's go. Top floor. Top floor. Got the rope. Hey, I got it. Patty, crouched up.
He's out of reach of our aerials and out of reach of our tower ladders.
Our job was to force entry on the 12th floor and try to get him.
All right, Patty, you're on the roof, right? Yeah, I'm on the roof. Right. We had no idea what we were going into. You never know how far the fire's advanced.
As I got to the 6th floor, the smoke menace. I said to myself, how are we going to save these guys? I mean, the fire was extending so rapidly, they really didn't have much time.
When we continue,
I was screaming to get his attention so at least he'd know help was on the way, but he was in a lot of trouble. I thought he was going to jump right then.
while New York City firefighters continue to try and make their way up through the burning building to the two men trapped on the 12th floor, time seemed to be running out for one of the victims.
As the smoke and fire kept on building up, the guy kept on inching his way out towards the window. I'm thinking, how can this guy breathe? I mean, because this is a huge fire. The heat, the smoke. I don't know how this guy's breathing.
Help him.
When we reached the fire floor, I went up to the roof to get a more clear picture of where they were trapped in relation to the stairway we were on. It was like I came out onto a baseball field and there was a couple hundred people were yelling at me. Everybody, it seemed to me from across the street, was pointing down at a certain spot.
Yo, up here!
And I saw the first victim.
All right, just stay right there.
I was screaming to get his attention so at least he'd know help was on the way. But he was in a lot of trouble.
The interior attempt to get the victims wasn't progressing quick enough because of the volume of fire.
It was a very acrid smoke condition. The smoke is going to get you before the fire does.
I didn't think we were going to have time to save him, much less the second guy.
Patty, hook up the right.
Yeah.
I knew we had to go over the roof to get him.
One of the men in Lieutenant Brown's unit would have to be lowered by rope to the victims trapped on the 12th floor. Firefighter Patty Barr was assigned to the rope that day. Though he had been trained for it, Patty had never been involved in this type of rescue before.
Watch your head.
To put my men in this dangerous situation was a difficult thing to do. A good friend and mentor of mine in the fire department was killed in exactly the same type of operation where the rope snapped and they fell 8 floors to their death. But there was no other way. It was the last resort.
Just come on up.
Kevin Shea also had never done a rope rescue before. As the anchorman, he would tie the rope to his harness and control the speed of Patty's descent.
I yelled back to my men. I said, "Let's go, hurry up, hurry up." I thought he was going to jump right then. While the other men were getting ready, Patty got up on a parapet just so the guy could see his foot, and maybe that would hold him on another couple seconds.
Firefighter Barr was already going over the edge.
But due to the construction of this building, there was nothing for Kevin Shea to anchor himself on. The victim had only a few seconds to live. We had to make a decision real quick what we were going to do.
That's it. Let's go.
Atlanta, Patty. All right, here we go. You ready?
Pat O'Keefe and Bruce Newberry just laid on top of Kevin.
We had to use ourselves as human anchors. There was no way that I could sink even my hands into anything to grab so that I wouldn't lose Kevin. What was going through my mind was when this civilian jumps on, what's going to happen?
I got you. Good.
The victim just fell out into his arms. This pulled my men up into almost half-standing position.
Hold on, Kevin.
Gotcha.
Hold on.
Okay.
That was the most intense 5 seconds of my life, but everybody held on.
Hold it.
seemed like an eternity up on the roof.
As soon as they brought him inside the building, everybody was cheering. He even waved. The fireman waved, you know, and just to show that, you know, hey, you know, New York's all right.
All right, he's in. He's in.
You were happy for 2 seconds, and then you knew you had to get right back to work. Because there was another man on 48th Street side.
Kevin now took firefighter Barr's position and hooked himself into the rope.
Hold on. All right, Kevin. All right, go.
Firefighter Ray McCormick was with another ladder company.
A fireman handed me the rope and asked me if I knew how to do this. There is a certain amount of trust that firemen have with each other, but this was an extremely critical situation. There was no time for lies. And I said to him, yes, I do know how to do it. And that was no bull.
All right, go ahead. We're ready, Lou. Go.
He was giving the orders to lower, and I watched the rope go through my hands, and the rope was already frayed. And that, like, sent a shiver through my body, that the rope was already frayed.
A little more, another few feet.
The people on the street were unbelievable. You could hear them. 13 flights up. They just kept getting louder and louder. We had done it, and it was just very gratifying, and it was just a special moment for me. Never forget it. Never forget it.
The two men rescued from the 12th floor, Jose Gallegos and Peter Lewis, were taken to the hospital and treated for smoke inhalation. More than 100 firefighters fought the blaze for another hour before it was extinguished. But not a single life was lost that day.
Feel like a hero now?
Yes. No, I don't feel like a hero.
Why not?
Because
when you see the two firemen hanging from ropes, everybody thinks that those two guys are heroes, and that this is the whole rescue, and it's not. That's not the way it is at all.
Make some room. Let's go. Make some room.
There's a lot more firemen that are taking tremendous punishment in on the fire floor, trying to actually crawl past fire to rescue these victims and put the fire out.
It's a tremendous team effort. I was the one to go over on the rope, but there would have been 100 guys to grab that rope out of my hand to go over. I took a lot of the glory, but everybody deserves it. I think the whole fire department deserves it.
This was so dangerous. I could have stopped them, and nobody would fall to this. I could have stopped them, and the 2 victims would be dead. But everybody hung on to that rope, and everybody came out alive.
Anybody up on this side? Kevin, baby. Hello, Laura. Hello, Kevin.
Three months have passed since the incident, but neither Jose Gallegos nor Peter Lewis can forget the men who gave them a second chance at life.
How you doing? There we go. Jose, how you doing, man? How you feeling, all right? How you been? Good.
After the fire, when I was able to go out, I felt I had to go and see them. And I had to hug these guys and say thank you and share a moment. When I was up in that ledge, I really thought that I was dying. I thought that that was the last moment of my life. It was really an incredible thing what they did.
The ladder only reached the 5th floor. Since the fire, every so often I think back to it and I say, gee, you know, I actually am still here. Man, what a day. I'm lucky that Kevin was on duty that day. His matter-of-fact attitude and calmness kept me calm, too.
I tell you, if I wouldn't hear you and then you, it would have been out for me.
Yeah. Party bar, I just love him, and I don't know how to thank him. You know, whatever I do wouldn't be enough. Every time they go to a job, I really wish that the Lord is with them and help them, because they risk their own lives. They just don't think. They just go and do it and save you.
Hey, it's definitely good to see you guys, man.
And they saved me.
You know, still here.